Hi guys, see you again on your favorite channel. I love this game. This time we will discuss the opening of the Falkbeer King Gambit variant. Let's watch the following video. Falkbeer Gambit is one of Black's weapons against King Gambit. Named after the Austrian master, Ernest Falkbeer, who used this opening against Adolf Anderssen in 1851. Falkbeer counter gambit is achieved through the move sequences, e4, e5, f4, and d5. This is the start of Falkbeer counter gambit. White's best answer is pawn e, takes pawn d. And after this at least Black has four main moves. The first is, pawn takes pawn. This is one of the two popular Black moves, as well as the most recommended by computers. The second is the e4, the most popular move so far. The third move c6, Black turns to offer gambit to White. And the fourth step, bishop to c4, pressing the king's wings open, to make it difficult for White to the castle, and do a deadly attack if White takes pawn e. We will learn to deal with all these moves. But before we continue, we want to remind you to subscribe to this channel, if you like it. Thank you. After pawn takes pawn, knight to f3, is White's best move, and this position is exactly the same as modern defense in King Gambit excepted. Black has two moves which are very commonly played. The first is queen takes pawn. White has to respond with knight c3. Major piece development with tempo attack queen, queen to e6, check. And bishop to e2. If knight goes to f6, castle. After bishop d6, bishop b5, check. And after pawn to c6, rook to d1, Black loses queen. After knight to c6, pawn d4, is White's best move, threatening forking, as well as threatening pawn. Queen f6, d5, attack knight, knight e5, and castle. If the knight to g4, intends to do a combination attack, then the knight to d4, attacks the knight while blocking the bishop in check king. Bishop to c5, a counter attack against knight, rook takes pawn. Defend the knight, while attacking the queen and knight. Bishop takes knight, checks, queen takes bishop, offers queen exchange, and attacks knight as well. Queen takes queen, rook takes queen, strikes again knight, knight e5. And after bishop e4, White is far ahead in development with very active major pieces, while the majority of Black major pieces are still stuck in their respective places. After knight takes knight, check. Rook takes knight, attacks pawn. Pawn g3. Bishop e3, with threats to win over rook. Bishop d6, and knight to e4, forking bishop and queen. Queen to e7, bishop d4, attacking rook. Bishop e5, bishop c5, attack queen. Queen d8, bishop b5, check. Bishop d7, queen d2. a shadow of bishop and king. Knight e7, and rook to e1, strengthening shadowing pressure. Castle. Knight takes pawn. Bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, attack pawn, queen takes pawn, and rook to d3, attack queen, queen c6, queen takes queen, after knight takes queen, bishop takes rook, rook takes bishop, c3, and white has a positional advantage to rooks. Another black move is knight f6, attacking pawn, and c4, defending pawn. c6, black again attacks pawn, b4, after pawn takes pawn, c5, this move is intended to limit the movement of the dark bishop. b6, black tries to dismantle white's pawn formation, but b4, white keeps his pawn. Bishop e7, get ready for the castle, and bishop to b5, check, bishop d7, bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, castle, castle, and bishop takes queen, a5, attacks the white pawn formation again, knight e5, attacks queen, queen to b5, and knight to c3, again attacks queen, queen takes pawn, attack knight, knight to e2, and after pawn takes pawn, rook to b1, attack queen, queen to a3, rook to f3, attacks queen again, queen takes pawn, knight c3, attacks queen again, queen to a3, and knight takes pawn, a discovery attack against queen, queen a2, and knight takes bishop, check, king to h8, rook to h3, if now knight to d7, then after knight takes knight and knight takes knight, then rook takes pawn, check, king takes rook, queen to h5, checkmate. Here black chooses queen to e6, and a brilliant move, queen to e2, a shadowing of queen. If queen takes knight, knight g6, checks, and black loses queen. Of course this didn't happen, and black played knight to d7. White replied with knight to g6, check. And after pawn takes knight, queen takes queen, and white wins queen. Facing move e4, d3, is white's best move. After queen takes pawn, knight to c3, bishop b4, pinning to knight and bishop to d2. Back an attack on queen and pawn, bishop takes knight, this is a must. And bishop takes bishop, threatens pawn, and keeps threatening rook. f6, queen to e2, attacking pawn and shadowing against king. Knight to e7, and pawn takes pawn. Attack queen, queen to c5, castle, here white has the advantage of pawn, and the king is much safer than the black king. If now black secures his king with a castle, then white has a very strong positional move, namely queen c4, check, forcing a queen exchange. Because based on positional principles, if we have a pawn advantage, then exchanging major pieces to get to the final round, is the best and safest strategy to win. After queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, check, king h8, knight f3, and not only does white have the pawn advantage, he also has the development advantage. The white major pieces are very active, while the black major pieces are very passive in their place. Okay guys, that's the end of the opening of the first Falkbeer King Gambit variant. Please continue to the second part, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.